Aloha. So Anakala asked me to introduce him. My name is Krista Johnson. I'm Uncle's ku'ipo. We've been together about 30 years, so I've learned a lot of this from him, and I'm very grateful, like Kawei is, to have a kapuna in my life that has taught me the ways of his ohana. Anyway, Uncle Chucky, he was chosen at the age of 5 by his ohana at Ka'awaloa in Napo'opo'o to learn the art of net making and eventually the art of Lawai'a, because in order to be a Lawai'a, you had to learn how to make net. So from the age of 5 to 6, every day he sat with his tutu man, tutu lady, and his makua to learn the art of net making. And then when he was 6 is when they introduced him and put him on the boats so he could start fishing. And then by the age of 7, he was on, Grandpa Leslie had 6 sampans in Napopo in Kealakekua Bay, or Kapu Kapu, the actual name of the bay. And so Uncle was started on the big boats at the age of 7. And by what age were you driving the big boats?
At the age of 17, I started captain a family boat.
Yeah, so basically Uncle's he's the last living kupuna in Napo'opo'o now. Uncle Lionel, his cousin, died last year. According to Kawehi, he's probably one of the last Lawai'a kupuna, Lawai'a in the state of Hawaii that started at the age of 5, has lived in the same wahipana, and still is actually at the age of 79, going on 80, still practicing and fishing every day, making nets for the community. In fact, my outreach work with him has been, we just finished 2 nets for Milili'i because they don't have net makers anymore. So joining our Konahema communities together through Uncle and some of these fishermen. But yeah, so Uncle, you want to tell him some basics about, blending traditional subsistence that he was trained in by his Ka'awaloa ohana as well as the commercial from the Leslie ohana. But this is...
Yeah, this is the Opelu net. And when I started, we had 2 people on a canoe. But now I do this all by myself on a 19-foot skiff. And like I'm doing about 7 different things at one time. So I just keep it in line 1 till 7. I never try mix it up. So I'm doing 7 things at the same time, throwing. And once I get out to the ground, I start fishing at 5 o'clock. I leave my home at 2 o'clock in the morning. And 5 o'clock I start fishing. And I got the ground so trained that when 5 o'clock come, I drive up to the regular spot where I'm going to fishing. I look at my fish finder and I see the school Opelu following me already. And then once I get there, I start chumming, and this is the chum bag that we use, and this is the chum. One is grind up marlin, we grind it with a hamburger machine, and this is the pumpkin that we grind it with a hamburger machine, and this is opai'ula, the red shrimp. It's dry and we put them in water and mix it in. And take the chum down to the depth we want, we're fishing in about 120 feet of water. So you have to just, I have a work table with me on a boat, and this goes in here, and then you throw all the chum in, and you just wrap it like this, and then you throw it out. And as it's going down, you tug. When it's going down, then you tug this line like this, and it'll make a streak of line going down. So the fish get a lot of room to feed, and that's what. And at the same time, I'm working my motor. I'm looking in the box what I got eaten, and then once I got maybe 300-400 pounds, the most I pulled with this one net by myself was over 400 pounds. And once I get the fish chumming really good, and then this is
Anakala, maybe you could explain to them. So the Leslies are well known for the way they took the net, the Hawaiian net, and hybridized it, because they worked with the Japanese in the 1920s. His dad learned different net making, and so Uncle's ohana, this is a net that would never have left the family. When they're old, they get burned, right? Because you never share the knowledge, right? So what's different about your net?
When I grew up, my dad, he built this net, because the old nets were so skinny where you cannot pull a lot of fish. So there was a Japanese man that was living down there, and they order the materials and they build the net big so that they can catch a lot of fish. But then when the net gets old, he never sell it, he never give anybody, we burned it, you know. But came to my time now, I said, gosh, you know, I don't want to die with this, you know. I want to give it out. So now I'm teaching people to build this net, the special net that we have, and that's what I do now. But like I said, when we got the fish feeding everything, then I'm doing everything, throwing the bag, looking over the side, controlling my motor, and watching your koa. The koa is a fishing ground, and during the day we have landmarks. So you have to study the current, which way the current's moving. You have to go up to the head of the koa, and then you drop your net. So you're doing all these things with one person. Then the first thing you do is you drop this lid over the side. I use a rock, and people does hang the lid underneath. I did that when I first started, and I caught the bottom, the coral, the lead stuck. And good thing my brother was on another canoe, so we was outside of Pu'uhonua, and I told him, run inside, maybe you can borrow a tank from somebody. And there was people with dive tanks, and we borrowed one, came out, he dived, he took him off. Then I talked to this Japanese man. He told me, no, he said, what you do, you put a rock in the net. When you go down, even if you hit the bottom, there's nothing to hook the bottom, you know. If it hooks, it'll come off real easy. And I think I've been doing that for about 60 years now, doing this. And then once you get the net down, everything, this net will go under the boat about 60 feet down. And same time you chumming them, and as 6 bridles come back to the boat. And once the net's 60 feet down, then you make a big ball, feed sack, and then you send them down right in the middle of the net. You make a long line, and while they're feeding, you just pull the bridle like that, and it just scoops the whole bunch of pillow up and come up. Then you break the stick, pull them on, then you pull the fish on. Then you got about, the biggest pull I do one person is 400 pounds. So you cannot pull 400 pounds on. So what you do, and in the water, the fish is real light. You can take 400 pounds of fish in the water, hold them one hand, but they get bladder sacks, so they float. So you take them, you try to roll them like this. When you roll them over, you put your hand under here. So you get about 100 pounds, go there, the rest go down here, and you let that sack stay in the net. And then you pick up this one, and then you roll them in, and then you put them in the fish box. And I think that's about it,
Do you guys have any questions for Anakala? Because he actually works with a few of your students down here, like Desmond, who was helping up there as one of his top net-making students. And, one of the things we taught the kids last year when we came down was the vocabulary for the net for the Olelo Hawaii class, and how certain names of the net relate to parts of Kikino, parts of the body, because the net, like Kavehi was explaining, is part of their genealogy. These are part of their family, right? So it's why it stays in the family. Like, how old is this net, Uncle?
This net is 43 years old this year.
So his big thing with a lot of the guys is they won't take care of the nets.
The new Fisherman's now 5 years. I make net for them 5 years. The net's completely thrown away because they don't know how to mend them. They don't take care of the net. But this thing's 43 years old.